apparently my color scheme has changed. Visual Studio Code, what the fuck are you doing? Impromptu stream today because I've got a hard 8 out in 2 hours, or not even an hour and 45 minutes. So I was debating whether I should even start streaming, and then I kind of went, well, actually I didn't do anything. I was fucking playing Sea Skylines and it crashed, and I went, alright, well, I guess I'm streaming. So, that game is buggy as fuck, and I feel like a lot of the features where it's like, oh, it feels like they're doing like real behavior, really mimicking people jaywalking, is just the code being so buggy that it just randomly assigns people to cross roads at the wrong places. Like, you remove all the fucking road crossings and people still cross roads. Anyway, I need to commit like last stream stuff because I forgot to do that last time. So today, what are we doing? Today I am going to expand my debug stuff. So I don't know if I should, like, I probably have to, because is to go back and rewrite the menu code as like a system parameter that you can pull in. So you can be like, I want a menu and I need to access like this or access that. Probably would be a smart like way of doing it. I don't know why VS Code changed my palette, but apparently we're going with like purple today. What is it called? The extension's called like Rust, something or other. Rust. Theme? Somewhere theme. No. I don't remember what the theme was called. I remember there was a theme I got because I typed in Rust and it turned up as a theme, like the theme was called like Old Rust or something. Anyway, that's a future me problem to fix. Right, so the way I'm thinking of doing this is we're going to go into UI, because again, this debug stuff should probably be separate into its own thing. So somewhere in here we have menu and we have mod menu. So we can make like a menu system parameter, because I'm pretty sure all the menus are in the same root, which means we go like hub struct menu builder. Right, and this is going to derive system parameter. So I'm going like, do I build this out and like make it a way to easily expand menus? I think I might have to end up doing that. There's no receiving it. Stream is not liking. Apparently my internet's a bit slow. I like this because it will make fucking this shit so much easier. So like this despawn on. The issue with the despawn on is that it's a I don't configure that, because there's more a specific menu. So the fact that it's like, no, it's actually, no, it's a menu ID. So that's cool. That's cool. Okay. So because this isn't an expensive thing to make. So effectively, we're just going to rewrite debug so that it can take in where's the open menu? Open menu, open debug menu. We're going to rewrite this function so it takes in that system parameter. So it's going to need root. So we'll need root move mode. So that's a use specific thing. So you need these two things at the very least. So we go back to here. Menu mod, yeah, okay. Go here and be like, hey, you need these two things. Like so. So commands apparently needs access to W and S. Fine. So W S. Alright. So next is we're just gonna add like import menu builder WS So I think we probably want to like go with like a struct menu state like this. I think. And then like open menu ID, and this is just a derive resource. There is probably a better way, like manually implementing system parameters to do this, but I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to say menu state, which is just our menu state. So let's do this. Then we go up to menu plugin up here. Menu plugin. We need to like app.init. Well, we just have the state, don't we? Yeah, I guess. The main thing being like in my head, the menu. We can just request the actual state. I think that's how I keep track of my state. Not complaining. I was thinking because the on close is obviously specific to the menu that you've got open at the moment. So I can do that, or I could keep actual state. We may still need state in the future, but like the idea being that like this will at least keep things in track. We don't have to make sure we set menus to close on the right thing. So how's our debug menu work? So we need a root, and the root's pretty easy. Commands.entity root. Yep, it's fine. Clean. Okay, so it's basically root with our checkbox. So we need checkbox, and the checkbox is going to take in something like that. Basically just needs to take in the same thing as this. So we need to do some weird stuff too. So you know, fn add checkbox. Which takes in self. Apparently text. I don't know. We're just gonna take in mute self for now, and he's gonna return nothing for now. Well, actually, it should probably return a mute. Whatever the component. We like commands. Self dot commands dot entity self dot root. I think it's going to have a couple of issues with this. Dot with children. Right. So the return type of this is the return type. So what is your? So you're a entity commands. A. Okay. Root. Okay, so root is a single, which means we do basically do that. Can't return a reference to a temporary value. Watch me. I don't remember how to do that. Like, do I say like A? To add checkbox takes in like an A. Because that's how you work, right? Like, no, entity returns underscore. Commands to, and then you return a lifetime A. No, okay, so you have to declare the lifetime. And then you say that was A, and that goes to for A. So let root equal self dot commands dot entity. Oh, is that how you? Okay. Ah, that actually, you're right. That makes a lot of sense because that's how Bevy does it, isn't it? So, I just need to get rid of. I guess. Okay. No, apparently Bevy returns entity commands here, and then with children. Oh, okay, right. So it needs to be like let root equal and then we return actually no, that still doesn't work. With child. Spawns the past bundle and adds it to the entity for efficient spawning of multiple children used with children. So does that not give me access to the child then? That's a bit weird. With child. With related. Okay, I did. Well, no, so it's just not doing what I thought it was. I was going to return the actual checkbox so that you could do stuff with it. But the with child doesn't actually give you the thing. Like I'd have to work around the fact that it's not actually returning. So the with children returns a reference to this entity, not to the child that it just spawned, which I was expecting it to do that. So it doesn't actually matter in this point. What does a checkbox take in? So we obviously need the on click, which needs to do something. We're trying to overwrite the debug stuff, so we should just bring in the function that we're trying to overwrite. So this is what we're effectively trying to do. So I'm going to paste that here as a comment so that I actually don't like this color scheme. It's kind of gross. So it's like with child, and then we pass in the checkbox, and we pass in the observe, and then so technically we could just do the checkbox because I think the checkbox takes in other and then children. So when you have checkbox, so we can have a label, which is just going to be into import into string. Okay. Actually, yeah, like just the text takes string. All right. And then on click, we have to work out what observe is. So this is just going to be a unit type for now. So then the way you work, I think, is like we go like checkbox. Yeah, so overrides. So we can put observe in here. The reason I didn't do it before is because it got very confusing as I was trying to make things work. And then the label. And label as a child. All right, so then you become spawn text. Right, because text, I think text new just takes into import. Yeah, so you don't need to call into, you can just give it label and then themed text and spawn. Your requirement is that C is spawnable list child of send sync. Okay, so that works fine. Then on click, so that needs observe. Observe. So observe returns add observer and takes in I, where I is into observer system EBM. Entity event. Right, so theoretically I could do the same thing where I effectively say that you take in O, so that's going to be your observer, and then you take in a impl into, I guess you just take in O, and then we're like where O impl into observer system. Right, you have to take in like a bunch more stuff as well, aren't you? So the event we're going to set, the B So you take an EBIM. Sure. We go, hey, you take an EBIM, but it's an OBIM, where O is input into system of event. So the is going to be on value change bool, because again, this is like a way to use the type system to enforce that you actually pass in something that's going to fucking do something properly. So on value change boolean, and then I think it was just B. Actually, no. Is that MI? Where's observe again? B and M. Right, where I is this and the B and M. Okay. B and M. B and B and M. B is bundle. Okay. And then we can just pass in on click. Or on check, maybe. On check. On check. But not. Do announcements actually. Keep forgetting to do that. It's kind of important to let people know that I'm streaming. Yeah. Live now. Hello.
I think it's connected now.
I hear you. How are you doing?
How are you? I'm all right. So he just asked the same question.
Yeah, I know. And you cut out like halfway through me asking the question. I don't know if there's a Discord thing, like to stop people talking over each other, but like, I went to ask the question and then you just like cut out. I was like, oh no.
Talking to someone new thing, kind of feel. I just got home, so I'm just gonna take it easy.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's how I'm doing right now, I guess.
Cool. Yeah. I'm doing a short stream because a friend was like, oh no, I'm taking you out to fucking lunch. I was like, oh, whatever. All right. And then I was going, oh, do I just start the stream? I was playing City Skylines, going, no, I don't really feel like, because I'm going to get distracted and spend a long time. I think City Skylines crashed, and I was like, fuck it. Just stream for like an hour.
I was in this. I came from the stream like from last night, but I did not say anything busy because my roommate was sleeping.
Yeah. I remember you being in the VC last night. I was just like, I had two people join that were like, I'm not going to talk. I was like, okay.
Into Bevy. I've been wanting to like try Bevy for a while, but like I don't have a good computer for compiling Rust right now.
There are some tricks you can do to make it not like you can turn off you can turn on iterative compiling and stuff like that. So basically it might take you like 20 minutes to do the first compile, but then it does it in a way that means that it can quickly link things and your secondary compiles get quicker.
Also, the issue is storage, because I'm working with limited storage as well.
Oh yeah.
Since I don't have my stuff with me, it's in my old house, and I still gotta move it all out. I'm using my partner's laptop and Talon, and it's like I have a separate account with its own like things on it, but like I have limited storage because the rest of it is my partner's stuff, obviously, and I can't get rid of it.
So what you're saying is you're only allowed one project at a time.
Yeah, basically. I decided to just do I'm just gonna mess with Love 2D for now because I'm more familiar with Lua anyways, and I'm not super into Rust, but I want to get into it.
Oh. Well, hopefully one day I'll start actually making fucking videos about it again. I'm working on the script. I've got like a massive fucking thing of like all the linked together stuff that I've been using AI to help me write about components, just components, and it's probably 2,000 lines.
That's really fucking cool for like a game engine. I feel like that would be.
Oh yeah, it's great because of the like what I'm doing right now. It's literally brute forcing the type system, or like that is what the type system's for. But you cannot pass an observer that would not respond to a checkbox in. Like it will not let you pass in the wrong type of observer, and you can't be like, oh, why is my checkbox not doing anything? Because you can't pass in an observer that doesn't respond to a checkbox.
wasn't. I think I was watching one of your videos where you're talking about how they added that recently, where you couldn't pass in
Recently.
routing because of an update. They changed how it worked, whereas like more as before. I forget. I could be mixing something up.
Yeah, I think it's like it's always been that idea of you can't pass the wrong thing in. Like that's kind of the whole Rust, like Rust with Bevy.
Yeah.
Like Bevy has specifically made their API like if you pass in a type, that type will work where you passed it in. Now, the number of times I've fucked up because I'm like, I'm passing this in, but it's like, yeah, but that's just the wrong thing. Like, you know, I'm trying to get the player's movement and I'm taking the fucking, you know, mouse buttons instead of the keyboard buttons. I'm like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. Well, that's not fucking working. It's like you still need to pay attention, but it means that like here I'm building an extension, so it's like an observer can take anything, but not the observer you pass here. That has to take in an on value change boolean, which means that if it won't respond to a checkbox, you just can't give it to the checkbox function. I'm not entirely sure why their observers have split. Like it's a weird thing where Bevy's like maintaining two branches at the moment of like they have their UI widgets as it's like an independent headless thing where it's not opinionated, it's all, and then they've got Feathers, which is their UI library for specifically building like editor type UIs where it's like it's opinionated but it's just about quickly developing something. And the number of bugs I've run into where the like unopinionated version is generic but the Feathers version isn't or doesn't know how it's generic. So like there was a thing where it's like, why is my slider not working? Oh, because the Feathers required it to have a precision, whereas the actual implementation in the UI library thing was an optional to have it. I'm like, so why isn't it a required component? Oh, because they're using the UI widget, which means that the UI widget got to set what was required, and it didn't think it was required because it uses optionally, whereas the Feathers didn't insert it, but made it required for the system to run. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah. I wish I was more familiar. I'm trying to also like I decided to start learning like C as like a precursor to Rust.
Don't learn C before Rust. No, trust me, you will hate yourself more. Like the thing at the moment is everyone despises, like all people that are fluent in C don't like Rust because it changes just enough to make it be like, oh, but I could do this in C, but Rust says no, but that's unsafe. Like you can't do that because that's bad programming practices. And like I never learned C. I learned C#, which kind of runs into the same kind of thing.
It's better if I tried C# then, because I was thinking of learning C just because I feel like it'd be good to understand what the lowest like because like everything is kind of similar to C because it's the oldest one and
syntactically speaking,
fractions of it. But like that's what my reasoning behind learning C first. Because I'm too familiar with like scripting languages like Lua and Python and whatnot.
Well,
mostly what I've done.
My thinking with it is like, yes, the C is pretty old, which is like, you know, it's what they always say about learning C first is C is simple. You can do just about anything in C and it doesn't care. It just lets you do it. The thing with that is that Rust is just as low level in terms of if you want to learn like the low level shit of programming. Rust just also has a standard library built on top. So you don't need to make your own vector. You can just use the built-in like the vector in Rust. So like there's no real like difference in terms of performance or anything like that. It's just that C is easier to learn because there's so much less in C. Like the language is intentionally kept simple. Then you go to like C++ is the level above, whereas like you can write C code and it will compile into C++, like 100% backwards compatible kind of thing, like intentionally so. But you run into that thing of like if you learn it in C++, all you're going to be doing is unlearning what you learned in C++ to learn it in Rust. Like if you know that you want to do Rust, just skip straight to Rust because you'll learn the same things and the fundamental level of learning to program, but you won't then have to unlearn certain things like pointers are used everywhere as far as I understand in C, where you just basically say, yeah, the memory's over there. I know what's at the other end. I'm going to just poke it. Rust does not want you doing that. It is incredibly like, even in my like, in Rust, you can just drop into unsafe and do things that you could do in C. Pointer arithmetic is like the next level again, where you have to then use like indirection. You can't just turn numbers into pointers like you can, or at least not while maintaining a certain thing that Rust is like, you turned that random number into a pointer, so now there's a whole bunch of things you can't do with that pointer because it's not actually a it's like the difference between like fat and thin pointers, where it's like a thin pointer is literally just a number into memory, and a fat pointer tells you things like how much memory is at the other end, and what allocator it's from, and how long you're allowed to use it. Like all this stuff can be tacked on. And so Rust goes, yeah, you can turn a number into a thin pointer, but you can never turn it into a fat pointer because you don't know what's on the other end, and there's all these extra hoops you have to jump through because like if you make a vector, it's like you get a thin pointer and then you give it a length and a size and then wrap it up, and now it's a vector, which is a fat pointer. And it's like, oh, it's really hard. Pointer math in Rust is like intentionally difficult because you shouldn't be doing it unless you know what you're doing. Whereas in C, it's like, oh yeah, but you just point a pointer over there. Like that's how they teach you everything. It's just, oh, you point a pointer and you just know what that pointer does.
That's good to know, because I probably just won't win C now unless I just do it for fun.
My other thing is like I think C is very different. C's weirdly enough, C's not object oriented and Rust's not object oriented, which means that they actually are slightly more compatible than C to C++. But like in Rust, you have methods attached to structs, which means that like if I have a struct with my data, I can go like dot do this thing to it, and it'll basically effectively wherever you see like mute self, it's basically saying use the data that I personally have, and then you can poke around inside you like internally, sort of thing. And it's add checkbox means you can go like my thing dot add checkbox. C doesn't have that. C has like arrows to pointers where you basically say I have this piece of memory, now just funnel it into this function. So you end up with like a very different pattern to writing things in C versus what you end up writing in Rust.
Stuff like the pointers and the structs are a little bit more alien to me because I'm more familiar with scripting languages as opposed to object-oriented ones. So
I thought
trying to wrap
scripting languages was still object-oriented. I thought they were object-oriented though. Like scripts more so than most things, in that like something like Python, which I believe is script, is like everything is an object. Even like if you just do an integer, it's still an object.
Oh, I didn't even. Okay, I didn't think. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you can do dot something, like if you can have a thing and call dot something on it, it's object oriented, or like at least it's got objects. In Rust, they're called structs, and they act a little bit differently because in Rust we basically say that you can't. There's a whole bunch of like rules about like how it attaches methods to the underlying data. So that means that you actually have the block of data, and you have a list like a pointers to functions that you can run on this block of data is how it does it. Whereas in C, it's like you can actually like have a block of instructions that move with it as well, which means that you can have code that self-modifies itself as the object actually rewrites its own internal state or some shit like that. It's really fucking dumb and dangerous kind of language that most people don't use that part of the features. But yeah, most scripting languages are object oriented because it's how you can like have a variable that's declared at runtime, whereas in Rust you can't really do that, because if you declare it at runtime, it implies that you didn't do anything but allocate some memory, and you don't actually know what it is. So you have to write a bunch of shit around it to be like, actually, this block of memory, and then I'm going to have like the first byte tells me what that block of memory is, and it's like in a scripting language, they've already done that for you. That Python, everything's an object. The object contains like the pointer to the actual memory, the object's type, its inheritance set, the methods. So at runtime, you can reassign methods in Python. Like you can just say, hey, this thing that I have, like it now has a new method attached to it, and it just works. Yeah, you can't do that in Rust because you've got to like you have to actually know what the type is to be able to assign a pointer to it. So you end up having this weird daisy chainy thing where
not super
weird.
I don't know. I don't know how to I don't know. I'm super beginner. I'm gonna be honest, but it's cool to hear about it.
But yeah, so what language do you use? Lua, don't you? I don't. Is that a Lua being?
Oh, sorry, my.
What scripting language do you know? Because I can reference it back to that. But I don't know Lua well enough.
Yeah, I messed with it when I was a kid, and now I'm kind of coming back to it again. Because I'm gonna try and mess with Love 2D. I've actually messed with it when I was younger as well, but I'd never like made anything finished. So I'm gonna try and maybe come back, and because I'm trying to get into game dev. Oh, yeah. I'm mostly just familiar with how scripting languages are added to things, because I don't know, I was like, or even just JavaScript. because
Oh, yeah.
not even just because I do web dev, just because JavaScript aren't just used in stuff, just so you can have a scripting language to use. Like, for example, in Minecraft, there's a mod called Cube.js that allows you to do a lot of automated stuff,
Oh, yeah.
specifically for like mod pack developers, where they're like automating like batch recipe changes, so you don't have to like make a data pack that's like all the JSON files that you want to change. You can have it say, um, replace every single thing in this recipe with, like, you can just do a bunch of chromatic stuff to change things instead of individually doing it, which is nice. Um, but I just mostly just mess around with like I messed around JavaScript and some of Lua, messed around with Python, just
Yeah.
just like the ones that usually I feel like are pretty pushed
Yeah,
to
the
beginners.
common ones. Yeah. Well, the big thing, like, that's what I'm saying, like, object oriented comes in is in both JavaScript and Python, because I know them well enough. Like, I don't know how Lua works. Yeah, and Lua is weird because I think everything's like a static object, and you actually do pass around pointers. It's fucking like, I remember Lua just, it's the bane of, like, it was written by someone who was like, we're gonna make this easy, like they call them basic. It's like, well, I'm gonna make it easy, and then so like indexes start at 1, and it drives every programmer insane because indexes starting at 1 is the equivalent of being like, you can't just multiply the index by the size to get the place that you start, because it starts at 1, which means you'll be off by 1, and it's so many bugs. But yeah, so with those, because you can pass in anything, like you don't need to tell it what the type is, you can just pass it in, is because they all use the same object, like underlying base level object that you can pass around. So every function takes in the same object. Whereas in Rust, you have to tell it what that type is. Like, is it a number? It can't be anything but a number. Does it have a decimal point? Then it has to always have a decimal point. Like, it's a float versus a int. Like, once you've done that, like in Rust, you have to have like a separate function for, I want to do this on integers and I want to do this on floating point numbers, because they're not the same thing. Whereas in Python, they've got what's called, I think it's infinite precision, which is the idea that it's an integer until it needs a decimal point, at which point it has as many decimal points as it needs. And so you can have like massive numbers, like, like accurate to fucking thousands of decimal places, but they're really slow to compute. Whereas Rust, it's really fast because it's all, the number is the number, and that's it. You can do optimizations knowing how long it is.
In some of like the C tutorials I was like reading about, because I'm not used to like specifying like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I'm mostly just, I think I started with Lua, if I'm being honest. Like, there's this app on the App Store called like Codia, and it was like for like making apps within the app, and you just made them with Lua code. They just made a bunch of APIs to interact with like the device. So you could use it to make games or whatever, just random stuff. And I messed around with that a lot as a kid because I had like an iPad. And that's where I like mostly got most of my like Lua just familiarity was from that app. So I like to come back to it some other fine things. Like when Balatro came out, I remembered that I had poked around with Love 2D a while ago, and I was like, I should come back to it at some point because just Balatro is made in Love 2D, and I was like familiar with it. I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool that I noticed. Yeah. I'm hoping there will be I wonder. I feel like Bevy seems pretty promising. I've been kind of like fixated on making something in it eventually, but like I literally just don't have the setup to do it now, unfortunately.
Yeah. I also happen to know that Lua is one of the languages that you can, like, there's like a Bevy plugin that lets you just use Lua inside your Bevy app to make scripting.
Oh, that is dope. Yeah, that'd be cool if you're doing like a modding system in your game or something.
Yeah.
I know tons of games love to do their modding systems with Lua, especially if they're
Apparently the difficulty with that is it effectively, if you want your modding system to actually be like really deep and useful, it forces you to write your game in Lua, so you end up building the engine, and then the game is then written as the Lua that talks to your engine, so that the mods can access anything that you can access, sort of thing. I want to say like Project Zomboid did that, where it's like the game really ground to a halt because they had to play everything in Lua, like it rewrote everything in Lua because they were like, oh, but then modders can do anything we can do because the game's actually written in Lua. It's just in a custom engine that does all the other stuff.
I didn't know. I didn't know. So like, what was it originally in? Was it
Well,
just like
so the actual game is written in, I'm assuming C++. I don't actually know what's Project Zomboid is written in. Like all the interactions, like, you know, when you're crafting recipes, you're that anything that interacts between two things is written in Lua. Like, the little Lua I know is because I used to hack into the save files to change things, and that's all in like Lua object notation or something like that, which is that it stores like the size in bytes and then the number of things, and it's but like so I had to work it out how to fucking decode it because I didn't actually know it was Lua at the time. But yeah, so they like, you know, when you craft something, that crafting is actually written in Lua, so it means that modders can just do it. But like the rendering is done in a custom engine, so you call like, oh, render this thing at this location, and that's what you call from Lua, and then the code gets fast because it's done, you know, in C or whatever it was done in. But like to make it so that the modders had access to everything that the developers had, it means that like they wrote basically the entire game in Lua after, because it meant that like they could find the spots that it's like, oh, we haven't exposed this to the user, and so they were using it. And it's like, I think that's why that game has some really bad performance issues sometimes, is it gets stuck in like a loop inside Lua, which is really slow compared to a loop in another language. And so it just sort of grinds to a halt. That game also got set back like 2 years of development because they had all their stuff on one laptop that got stolen. I remember that being all. So there was like a major update didn't get to come out because someone stole the laptop with the fucking code on it.
Originally game shared Project Zomboid because I haven't gotten into it yet, but my friend wanted to play it and she doesn't have any money, so I was like, yeah, you can just play on my account for now.
Yeah, Project Zomboid, it's a lot of fun. Well, my only issue with it is it does have a tendency to be quite slow. Like the beginning is really fun when you're trying to not die to zombies, and I think the end starts to become a bit fun again when you start having like the resources to just build and play around like in the sandboxes. But like the intermediate thing where you're basically going, the most optimal trait is just to sleep all day and eat while you wait for your crops to grow. Like, you know, like because sleeping uses less food, so you just sleep and then eat. Like, yeah, sleep, eat, and then sleep again because it's like, oh, you use less food, and then you can like go check your crops because they only grow like. They take like 14 days to grow or something like that. Whereas like, you're not strong enough to fight all the zombies, so you just like train and don't do anything. Because the game has like really punishing things of like, if you get bitten, that's it, your character's dead. Like they will not recover.
Like
you can turn it off in the settings, but it's like, to me, it's kind of like that's part of the balance, is that like one bite can kill you.
You could like just add any mechanics for like curing or at least recoverable or recurring, like where you can maybe beat.
Well, I would like it if they did the what is it, like the Walking Dead thing of like everyone's infected anyway, because like just like make it be like, hey, if you can survive like the bite, you got bitten by a zombie, like it's going to be a horrible infection, but like let you just live through it. Like,
thing you how like is that a mechanic at all?
What I missed, you keep cutting out. The microphone's pretty terrible.
Oh, sorry. Are you able to amputate a limb that got bitten to prevent the infection? Is that a mechanic at all?
I don't think so. No, it's just that you get zombie.
That would be
zombie
really
disease.
cool, like trade off. Honestly, like I'd be cool if a mod did that.
Yeah, I think the hardest issue with that is how long do you give the player to realize that they got bitten? Because like 90% of the time, it's like you do one fight and like, you know, by the time you've killed the zombies, it's like in game it's been like 3 hours. So like it's not exactly like a. Oh no, I got bitten, like let me. I guess it would like be kind of, because there are situations where sometimes it's just literally one zombie gets you, because that's my biggest annoyance with it. It's like you get a really well trained player, and especially because it has a bunch of things like if you don't read the wiki, you wouldn't know. Like if you turn your back to a zombie, it's like 4 times more likely to bite you than if you were facing it with you, and then like versus if you have your guard up, it's even less likely. So it becomes that thing of like, I like to turn around because I'm like, I want to see if there's anything behind me, and then I didn't realize that actually I was slightly I was close enough to the zombie that it can lunge and bite me, and I'm like, oh well, because I turned around it actually bit me, whereas if I hadn't turned around it probably wouldn't have bit me. Because it's this weird thing of like, sometimes you can't tell that the zombie can just bite you, like because it's like it's actually quite far away. It's just like the mechanic of like if it hits you, it just has a chance to bite or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't read the wiki in ages to be like, there was all these things where it's like these weird mechanics. If you knew them, you'd never get bitten ever, because you would just like know how to not trigger the piece of code that went make them bite. But there's also like a 10% chance that a scratch will also infect you, and then that's even worse because you have to wait hours to know if your character's going to survive or not.
I don't want to get in. I should probably get. I hope my friend gets the game like officially soon because I want to play with her. I want to play with like I want to get a group together at some point because I've never got into the game because I wanted to play multiplayer and I never got a group of people together to play.
From what I remember, the multiplayer is not balanced particularly well because you run into the issue of one, they have to put way more zombies in if they want to make multiplayer actually like difficult, but also multiplayer doesn't play with the speed up mechanics, which means that you don't get tired in multiplayer. I don't think you get fatigued in multiplayer because they were like, the way that they worked is you would basically stop in a house and then just like time warp 4 times speed for 10 minutes sort of thing, like, or like many hours in the game, or when you sleep it's like, you know, it's warps from like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Like it does simulate a bunch of stuff, but it's not at the same fidelity or something. Like it is to basic fast time warp, but you can't do that in multiplayer because like you'd have to get everyone to sleep, so they just turn it all off, so you just don't get tired in multiplayer.
I think it could be like a bed sleeping system. I don't know. I'm just thinking of different mods that either already exist or that I would probably make.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it could be done, but like I just remember the developers being like, it's not, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure I could find a way to make it at least bearable for me and maybe my friends. Because I'm sure that's helpful to an extent. There's this mod for Minecraft that speeds up the time percentage on basically like how many people are sleeping.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of those. I didn't know they did the time percentage one. I know there's one that's like if a certain threshold of people are sleeping, then it'll just be like, oh yeah, no, it's daytime now.
I that one's like the default one people usually pick, but I like the one that's a percentage and it's actually actively speeding up the time as people like.
Oh yeah, so like it doesn't speed up the game; it just speeds up the day-night cycle. Like, I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah, it just speeds up the day-night cycle. So, which would I think that would honestly, I think that would be good.
That actually would be kind of cool. Is it just like speeds up the game? Like it's like my game at the moment, where it's like when I'm developing, I keep turning the day-night cycle to being really, really slow because it's like it's pretty annoying when the day-night cycle is 10 seconds because I was testing the day-night cycle. It flashes black and flashes really bright.
I constantly have to turn off the day-night cycle in Minecraft because I'm doing like mod pack development and all like testing stuff in the super flat world where I don't need it to be dark. I just need it to like test random shit, and so I'll just like turn off at the constant whenever I make a new world, and I'll just turn off the day-night cycle immediately. I need to get into Java because I really want to like start just making actual mods for Minecraft as opposed to some of this like it's basically just like diet modding with some of these mods that I have, like, because like these mods will let you just kind of mod the game pretty much. Like Cube.js lets you add blocks and other stuff. Like you can just add items, blocks, food, whatever, etc. to the game. And like different ways you can have them interact. It's obviously more limited than actual modding, but like I'm getting to a point where I just actually need to learn Java probably and just actually make a Minecraft mod. Which unfortunately I do not have the computer to do that right now either. So
I don't think you. Well, I guess you do learn Java, but from what I remember of doing Minecraft modding, you learn the Minecraft modding API language or whatever. I don't actually know what that's written in, and that's why like all the mods require you to download Forge, is because Forge is actually the one that does the interface. And the idea being that every time Minecraft fucking changed the code, then all your mods would have to be changed because they renamed a really important function or something. So Forge was like, hey, use our API and it won't change, and we will fix those bugs so that your version stays accurate even when you update.
Yeah, that's why Forge takes longer to update to newer versions than as opposed to there's like a competitor launcher called Fabric that's more mixed and Dex and based instead of APIs.
Yeah.
And so that's like updated to newer versions like almost immediately because like you have to write your own APIs basically.
Yeah, it just decompiles and recompiles the code, fixing only what they changed, whereas Forge, I guess, needs to redo everything.
Yeah. Forge is good for like bigger content mods that add lots of stuff because like they have a
it
lot of
gets
bells and
more
whistles.
stuff down lower down. Yeah.
I want to try. There's a fork of because like Forge is very against. They call it like Lex Forge is like because like Lex, it's like the main, I guess the main maintainer of that the original Forge. They people like forked off to like make Neo Forge, which is more accepting of like because like I guess the culture on Mixins kind of changed. Like regular Forge is kind of against it, whereas I think Neo Forge is a lot more like they're adding some more support for Mixin stuff. So you have like there's projects like Sinitra connector that allow you to even play fabric mods on Forge because they're just injections anyway, so you can just use Sinitra connector to play with both Forge mods and fabric mods, which is really cool. I like to use that sometimes when I make mod packs because there's some fabric mods that I really like, and then I can just use Sinitra connector if I'm just making a Forge pack. But yeah, I think there's even like a fork of I don't know how different it is, but there's even a fork of fabric called quilts.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I haven't looked as much into it though.
Honestly, I haven't looked into Minecraft stuff, like especially modding, in many years. But like, I do remember like there's all these looking like wars going on where it's like, oh, this one's better. Or like back when it's like used to be bucket, and
Yeah.
then now there's
Well,
all
yeah,
these ones where
there's
it's like
way more mod loaders. I remember like Rift Loader and like other shit.
I think what happened is
These
Forge is a
forks
mod loading, whereas Fabric is data pack related, like where it's like they only use the stuff that Minecraft guarantees won't break, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so like, and that's where you like your bucket was like, oh, your bucket was its own fucking server that they decompiled and recompiled it in a way that like let you use things. And then isn't that Quilt came out, or was like Quilt's just like basically saying like, oh yeah, no, we just do the Minecraft side of like it, where it's like only really data packs, which makes it much more limited, but means that they're not fighting Mojang constantly breaking things intentionally. Apparently, it's going to get way better now because the Mojang came out and said, "Oh yeah, we're not even going to obfuscate the code anymore. We're just going to like release it." It's not.
That's very cool. They're also doing they're finally changing the rendering engine and like just porting it to Vulkan, which is like crazy after all these years.
That is
Um
crazy, actually.
yeah, like so it's obviously going to affect the modding scene, but it's going to take a bit. But like there's already like mods that are trying to port over to Vulkan before Minecraft like even just changes their whole engine, which is interesting, which is cool. But I'm glad that there's like because like the important ones like the optimization mods and like the ones for shaders are the ones that are probably trying to do that immediately to prepare for the change in Minecraft. Because people are gonna want that to work off the bat, probably.
Probably. So I'm trying to go at the moment. It's like because I've been sitting talking to you and I'm not doing anything.
Sorry.
I know, I'm trying
I
to
need
listen
to
and also work out what I'm doing at the same time because like I'm supposed to be streaming, but it's interesting talking because I like the talking about Minecraft. It's been ages since I looked into that.
No, I love Minecraft. It's like my favorite. It's my shit. I'm gonna try and set up like a LAN party with friends soon. Because like half of them don't have like Minecraft accounts, so they're just gonna bum off of mine, and we're just gonna do offline
Oh yeah,
like mode on, and then just do custom usernames. Like, because you can do that if you're
yeah,
familiar with
yeah. I know.
my
I
offline.
remember way back when because I think offline mode just the server just doesn't check to see if the usernames are real, so literally any username gets accepted.
And I got it like a mod, so they could still set their skins so they don't just be like Steve's.
Well, technically, I think offline mode can still get skins if I remember. Like it can still fetch them because it just doesn't check the account verification, which means that if you pick another real account name, it'll actually will put the correct skin. Because I think that's what I used to do with my friends. It's like if you
Oh.
picked someone else's skin, like it's like a new real username's account name, and you put your name to that, you would get their skin when you logged in because it's just that it doesn't check to make sure that you actually have the right password.
I didn't know that. That's
I think
interesting.
that's how it used to work at least. But maybe it was
I
there
had
was
to, like,
something else happening on the server
I
side.
had to like figure out because I was like doing a LAN world and I had to figure out how to turn off the check because like um you have to like turn off the check in a setting. Usually you only have access to this in like the like config of like the server. But like when you're opening to LAN, you don't get access to it. So like I had to download a mod that would like let you give you access to like the extra like config features that would normal Minecraft server would have. So I could like enable people to be able to join without the username like checking thing. And it took me like an hour to figure that out, and I was like, "We're all gonna play Minecraft now, okay, guys?" And then like, I was like screwed because I didn't realize it was doing that.
Yeah, it's so what I remember because it was that whole thing about like because when you set your server to online offline mode, you had to use the whitelist. Otherwise, anyone could join, and that whitelist really only restricted it to specific username, which meant that only people that knew what usernames were allowed on. But it was that idea of you could just swap to your friend's account and it would be identical because it was like you all just the same account.
Yeah, I even had to do I had to do my own like Minecraft account as offline mode, because if I launched the game and joined the server while they were playing, it would disconnect them because it would say you're already logged in, and so like it wouldn't check for that if I was like also in offline mode. Um, that was also an interesting like thing that I also found when trying to like get this set up. Because I've done this before where I do offline accounts. Because I like my little cousins who used to come over and they would ask me to set up like a Minecraft server, and they didn't have like obviously they didn't have Java accounts. They played the Bedrock version of the game on their iPads, but they wanted to play specifically Java version so they could play like mods that they see on like YouTube videos. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll set that up for you. Um, but I never like played with them. I just like set it up on two different computers and then like ran a server off of my desktop. Um, so I didn't know about the thing where it would kick you. Um, so I had to like also figure that one out. Um,
Yeah, I think a lot also changed when like Microsoft bought fucking it because like I remember
yeah,
it being like a lot more consumer friendly back in the day because it was that whole like Mojang was like one of the most valuable companies in the world because they owned Minecraft.
that they decimated people that did not migrate, because like there are so many like millennials that like will come back to the game, and because they never migrated, they'll be like, my account is actually gone, I have to buy the game again, this is
Damn,
actually
that
bullshit.
yeah,
And they're
that is
like so
bullshit
right.
because they could have
It is
just automatically done it. I think the reason they didn't automatically do it is because it would let you duplicate certain account things, but like it has your email address. They could have just been like, hey, let's just like link that to the Microsoft account and just like leave them with. So I remember I've got like
let the migration system stay online forever. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like that
well,
could have just been
I
an
can understand like they needed to get rid of the Mojang side of the data because at that point you basically effectively costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars for no other reason than because you want to be able to get your account back. But like all they could have done is literally made it the migration automatically happened where it literally grabs your email address, goes to your Microsoft account and says, had a Mojang account like with Minecraft at one point. Like they just could have put like one boolean in their fucking database and then deleted all the Mojang data and been like, yeah, you just get a free copy of Minecraft. Because I ended up getting like 3 copies of Minecraft out of it, that migration for some reason, because I got my Mojang account had a copy, and then when I migrated to my Microsoft account, I got a copy of Bedrock and a copy of like fucking Java for some reason. But I'm assuming that my Mojang version is gone now because obviously, like when I migrated my account across, I could still log into my Mojang account and it had a JavaScript copy. And I logged into my Microsoft account and I had a Bedrock and a JavaScript copy. And you could be logged into both accounts at the same time. I think they had the same username, so they couldn't both be on the same server, but you could both be logged in and playing at the same time.
dang.
Actually, I might have been able to
wish-
change the username separately as well. I don't remember. It was annoying because they made it when they said you could change your username. They're like, but only once every 90 days. I'm like, what the fuck kind of restriction is that?
Yeah, it's just interesting too how it forever is just the username system for specifically Java, and then like the Bedrock version is just like your Xbox, basically your Xbox tag. Um, and that's going to persist just because of, I guess, the fact that Java was always like that.
I missed what's persisting forever.
Um, if you get Java version of Minecraft, there's always going to be like a Java username, like that's separate from like the Bedrock version, like even after the migration thing.
Yeah, but that's because they're two
Because
separate games. They need to actually be two separate accounts, kind of thing. Like, I think that's how that works. The idea is that yeah, all the Java code just uses a username to identify you. It just only ever uses the password to make sure that you actually are the person. Like when you log into your Microsoft, into your Mojang account, it's like you got your username and your password, and then when you joined the server, it was like it would send the username and the password to be like, hey, like this is actually the right person. Yes. Whereas the Bedrock edition, I believe, uses the GUID thing that Microsoft uses for everything, where it's like you are this account, which means you can change your username however you like because your GUID doesn't change. Whereas JavaScript is like they'd have to rewrite the entire server code for it to like stop checking the username and check the GUID. So I think that's just what they've done, unless you want people to have random username, like random strings of characters as their username.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. I didn't.
It's like it's not that they couldn't; it's that they won't. They could fix it. They could just basically say, "Oh yeah, your username is now your GUID," and then have a separate username that's on top of that actually gets rendered, or something like that. It would probably be a pretty simple fix. When they fucking unobfuscated the code and released it, I was a YouTuber I was watching who made like a 6-part series of them going through and fixing simple bugs that have been around for decades now. Like, and they basically went, "Oh yeah, there's like just a if statement that should be like greater than and equal, like greater than equal to, rather than just greater than," and it would fix this bug. Like they were finding these bugs and fixing them. Like these bugs exist not because they're hard to fix. It just feels like nobody in Microsoft has been designated you fix bugs. It's all you add new features.
Yeah, it feels like that's what the community's kind of been saying for like a long time. They've been asking for like an optimization update. I think some of that is actually
that one
coming
makes
around.
sense. The optimization is like one of those, you have to rewrite so much code for the optimization that like it makes sense to say like actually no, like the optimization it would be its own thing. But I just find it absolutely baffling that this person went through and went, yeah, so there's like 6 lines of code that you can change that would fix like heaps of bugs, and then they just don't. And I'm like, okay. Like the actual programmers should be able to find these things. This person had access to the code for like 2 weeks and found a whole bunch of bugs and fixed them. And I get like they're probably quite a small team, and they're probably like, which is dumb because of how much money fucking Minecraft makes, that they still have a small team. But like the Java team doesn't really get any like support, I don't think. I think that their entire job is just porting the Bedrock code back and forth.
Yeah, I think they've been trying to make sure there's more like parity between them, because there has been some weird differences, and there still is, I think.
My suspicion is that they're trying to eventually go Bedrock's the only version now, but they have to get both versions to be the same when they do that. Because the one I found out was that apparently Bedrock has baby versions of certain things like squids, whereas the JavaScript doesn't. The Java version doesn't, because the Java version was written like when not everything had a baby, whereas when the Bedrock version was written, they're like, actually, we'll make a baby of everything. So there's actually like dedicated code, I assume, for handling grown-up version, baby version, so they don't have to bespoke write a baby version of every mob. So they just, whenever they add a mob, there's a baby version. It's just automatically generated in the code. Whereas the JavaScript people are going, oh, fuck, they're adding more babies. Like every time they add a mob, they have to go fucking deal with the fact that they have to now handcraft a baby version. So it means that things like Squid didn't have a baby version, and I think they probably do now. There was some like one of those, that was one of the updates where they're going, hey, we're trying to bring them more in line. And like, I can see what they're doing. They're trying to make sure that it's feature parity, so that when they make the switch of being actually the JavaScript, the Java version is just a wrapper around the Bedrock, then it'll all still work. Whereas at the moment, like, I think the redstone's even different. Like everything is different because it's like bespoke copied across. So they have to make them the same for like 3 versions so that they can throw the switch and nobody actually goes, something broke.
There's tons of like weird quirks with redstone in Java that are like kind of like ingrained into like the redstone culture, where people like they're kind of almost bugs or like unintentional behavior, but they're like utilized in like ways where people use them intentionally, like exploit. Like I guess it's like, I don't know, I wouldn't call them exploits, but it's like, it's kind of like unintentional in the same way as an exploit, I guess. There's just like a lot of like weird stuff just with Java, Minecraft in general, that people take advantage of.
There's a lot of, they wrote a bug into the code and now that bug is a feature, and now Bedrock has to copy the bug.
Yeah.
Like, was it the bud stuff is all supposedly like, it was originally a bug where it was like it was activating diagonally through a block because fucking Pistons were originally a mod written by the community member who they then integrated into the game itself. So like its code is probably spaghetti as all fuck in the Java side.
Yeah. Did they also do that for the horses? I don't remember if they did or not.
I don't know, because I think horses are probably too new. The thing with Pistons was that it was basically back when it was just one person. I have a feeling that Pistons were written by like it was either Dinnerbone or Jeb, like one of the original employees. In that, like they weren't an employee, they wrote a mod, and Notch went, "Hey, want a job?" Like more than it was that they went, "Oh, a mod that we like, we're gonna nick this." It was more like, "Hey, you're talented. Do you want a fucking job?" Because like we can barely manage the code.
I think like I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Jeb was like just hired from the community. I think.
Yeah, it was like it was a modder, and they just went, "Hey, like you have a handle of the fucking code. Do you want a fucking job?"
They also like I think they had.
They just did that recently, apparently, as well. Like, which is such a strange thing is that they hired a mod creator because he I think it's the guy that made the Ether. That guy like a decade later got hired by Microsoft because they were like, "Hey, we want to add more dimensions or whatever."
Another dimension mod. I think someone who made Tropicraft was also hired a while ago too.
Yeah,
That's kind of fun that this dimension modders have been.
I think they
hired.
have to do so much more like overhaul of the code to add a new dimension. Maybe when they're getting hired, they don't realize the reason they're doing a new dimension is because it's too hard to add shit to the overworld. But yeah, I think he may have been hired a long time ago now, because like I keep forgetting I'm getting so old with it. Minecraft. I'm like, man, it was like somewhat recently, and then I'm like, but I think it was actually pre the Nether update, because that was like the idea of like they hired this person that just proved that he was really good at designing dimensions and said, hey, help overhaul the Nether. But it might have been the end update, that when they did the end stuff, it was then. But it was like, I'm going, fuck, but that was still like years ago.
Yeah. I like the first version of Minecraft I played was like the mobile version, the old one, um, which is kind of funny. I did event because I didn't have like a computer as a kid. I just had like an iPad. Like I don't know, it's probably just like a younger generation thing. And eventually I did get a computer, and then I got like the Java version.
Yeah, like I didn't end up getting Minecraft. I think the version of Minecraft when I got it was version 1. Like that was when that's how old I am. Is 1 had just come out, and I was like at a friend's place, and I don't really like Minecraft because I was just playing the like free web one where you could like just build in place. And their older brother was like, no, but like that version sucks. Like that's not actually what Minecraft is. That's just a tech demo. And I ended up getting Minecraft and went, oh fuck, like it is much more fun when the world actually generates like an actual world, and it wasn't like it was 256 by 256 square of dirt and grass that you could like walk around in and like place mushrooms. It's like, oh no, that's creative mode now. Like survival is completely different.
Yeah, there's I have like I wish there was a good mod like in recent for because I'm obsessed with like the microblocks, like that old Forge mod. And there are some like more modern ports of it, mostly only for Forge. But I want like, and there's like another take on the microblocks. It's like called chisels and bits, or like
Chisel mod, yeah.
Where you can like go on like the pixel level,
Yeah,
and like
shape, turn them into actual blocks.
But I like the microblock system a little bit better. But there's like I feel like there can be like a weird combination of these two concepts where you have like a tool. Like I had an idea to do where you have like a chisel and also probably a saw, because like
isn't there, there's an old mod now, it's like industrial craft era, where there was like a mod where you had a saw and you could make like a diamond saw, and you could cut like blocks in half, and then they became slabs, and then you cut them in half again, and they became like.
I want to keep that as the way it is, but I also want to add take a book, like a page out of like the chisels and bits books, where you can hold the tool and then you can like hold the material, because I'm thinking of doing it like where it's an offhand thing. You hold the tool in your
okay.
offhand, and then you can like place the block as like whatever the you can place the block as like whatever shape you want it to be using like the chisel. Um and and you can like set like you can do like something where you hold alt and you can like scroll, and it doesn't scroll on your hotbar, it scrolls on the crosshair, and it changes the icon to like whatever shape you want. Like you want to do stair or like a slab or
Yeah,
like
like the
whatever.
shadow effect. Isn't there already a thing? I vaguely remember something like that where you could put the block down and then you could like you could have the
It's
saw.
in frozen bits, but I want to do it where it's like instead of doing like the bit level, I want to do it with I want to kind of mix the two mods like how their systems are, where I want to have like the micro blocks, but with like kind of the UI elements from Chisel Bits. Because I like the micro block system better, but I don't like the extra like I don't think it needs to go down to like the pixel level, in my opinion, because I feel like that overcomplicates it, especially for
Yeah, I
like
guess that
people that
depends
aren't
on
as
the
like
thing. Because like I'm literally building a voxel game where my intention is to do that to like at the pixel level. But mine, I'm keeping like a different scaling thing. So in mine, it would be like I haven't really fleshed it out. I do have a design document, but the idea would be like when you go inside of a building, the inside of the building is at like each pixel is like 1 centimeter, and then when you're outside the building, it's like each pixel might be 10 centimeters, and then when you're at like the map exploring level, like it becomes a Minecraft scale where each block is 1 meter. So like the idea being like depending on where you are in terms of like do you actually need high resolution. The idea would be like, I mentioned like Minecraft, where it's like if you went up to a bookshelf at like inside of a build, then each book could be its own voxel. Like built, each pixel is a block that you have 3D depth to everything. But then like when you like go outside of the building, then like the outside of the building is actually made of like bigger blocks, and then you go outside and you're exploring like looking for a forest or something, and then the trees are actually at like 1 block 1 meter resolution like normal Minecraft. Is that idea of like doing that? And I see what you mean. Like it's too complicated with Minecraft where everything's 1 scale to be like you can go down to the pixel level. Like it's 1/16 of a block if I remember. It's pixel level in Minecraft.
yeah, this texture's like 16 by 16.
Yeah, I can't actually play Minecraft with the default textures anymore. It gives me a headache. It's too low res. My brain doesn't like it.
Like doing the like faithful. That's like a good.
Yeah, I don't remember what I do whatever that hexagon one is where all them like you can go up to like 512.
I forgot.
It's like BD Craft or something.
It's Facts, I think.
I thought BD Craft, but
Oh, it's BD Craft? My bad.
I think it
I
is.
thought it was. I think they're just a similar art style, maybe.
Pure BD Craft is what the mod pack and that's like the one that all the like YouTubers used to use back in the day.
Yeah, I think I'm mixing up like 2 different ones.
But like so it's got like hyper realistic, and there's like 4 different ones as well. There's
I remember it was like commonly used in mod packs, and they'd make like textures for like
the modded items, yeah. But I like it because it goes up to 512 block resolution, so you can actually have like crisp things. I don't think my brain. Maybe I should turn anti-aliasing on. That might help. But like my brain doesn't like the anti-aliasing that Minecraft does because it makes all the edges feel really wobbly and it gives me a headache.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought about making a mod pack where it's like retro-ish, where like there's like a shader that makes the game like at the resolution, but it might remove. I don't know. I don't know where to go with it because it's gonna make the game a little harder because it's gonna remove detail, but it would make it feel more like an older game.
There was this weird mod. I think it's called like Far Horizons or something for Minecraft that lets you
Oh yeah, Distant Horizons.
Yeah, Distant Horizons. They're like the only thing I don't like about Distant Horizons is I feel like its level of granularity is bad in that like it renders the mountains in the distance and it's like, yes, but you rendered a giant green triangle. Like that's not really what I want when I'm like I want to be able to see further.
Yeah.
Its resolution drops off too quickly. Like what it should be doing is baking the texture onto a single plane, not just making a plane that's the average color. Like that's the issue, is like it runs into like the thing of being like, oh, it's really far away, so we don't need that many polygons. I was like, yes, that's a great optimization, but like still use the textures, because you can still render the textures with like no extra cost. It means that you don't end up with these big fucking smudges in the distance.
Yeah, they've gotten a little better with it in recent. I think
last I saw it was like a year and a half ago. So. But I said it looks so dumb.
It's still like face caps, I'm not gonna lie, but they've blended it a bit better, because it used to be very glaring, especially in the ocean. You could see
it was anywhere where the terrain didn't block the distant horizon. Like it worked kind of well when it was just like, oh yeah, if there was like a bunch of hills, it would be an extra hill that's like, oh yeah, but it's like the issue with that is if you didn't have an already pretty good render distance, it would suck, because you could climb up to a reasonably short hill and see into the void that then lets you see all the fucking distant horizon shit. And I'm like, all they needed to do was bake like some kind of texture and then use a texture sampling instead of a mesh-based sampling, and that would have made it so much better. Apparently Minecraft's also just shittily optimized. Like, I could write in an afternoon more optimized code than Minecraft in terms of like rendering, but that's more because like Minecraft doesn't need to improve its rendering code. Like, I don't think it does any of the it's definitely never used to. You used to be able to like push like glowstone on your head and you could see through the entire world because of the way it was rendering. Is that like it would face color stuff?
With like just
but a lot of them got fixed because they stopped doing. I think that's called face culling, where you delete the inside faces of blocks. Yeah. But Minecraft, I believe, still uses like 4 vertices per face, in that like it doesn't have like meshing; it just does face culling. And I'm like, that's such a bad piece of code. It's so slow. I wrote this code a lot when I was first starting with Bevy, that kind of thing, and like I've done YouTube tutorials of making a Minecraft clone. It was one of my only live streams that like blew up, where it was like I did like making Minecraft as a live stream, and it got like 2,500 views in a day, and I was like, what the fuck? Why did these people keep watching the live stream? And I was watching it go up and up and up, and then YouTube decided that was enough, and then the stream just never got another view, and I was like, what the fuck? But that was an interesting night where I was like, what the fuck did I do today? Why am I getting so many comments and video? Like YouTube just decided that stream was a good stream, and that it was going to show my like 6-hour stream to thousands of people.
Yeah, YouTube just randomly pick up random stuff. I
like putting Minecraft in the title as well. What does it?
I don't know. Sometimes I'll see stuff that has pretty like small. Oh yeah. Well, I think I saw yours typically because I was looking at Bevy stuff.
But like I've noticed it where it's like I'll put something and suddenly it'll get like way more reach. And Minecraft is one of those things where like even just on my personal account when I'm watching YouTube, is like some reason a video where you go, hey, making a Minecraft clone in 24 hours, every single one of those videos has like 1 million+ views. Like they are fucking immensely popular, especially considering 90% of them go, yeah, like we're doing exactly the same thing as the other people, because like that's how you make a Minecraft clone. And it's not even like a Minecraft clone. It's just a voxel world engine that does like nothing. It's got no mobs. It's just world gen and face culling. Like, I get they're doing it in 24 hours, but it's like, really? That video gets 2.2 million views?
I have an idea for... I was going to do it as a mod pack, but maybe I'll just eventually, when I get good enough as a programmer, I might make a Minecraft clone. I have an idea for doing one that's more like space themed, or like it has like the planetoids, kind of like Mario Galaxy. Because there's like an old mod for Minecraft, I forgot what it was called, where like you could like make planets and you could like kind of have like center of gravity on them. And
yeah, I remember that mod. That mod was awesome. Except that mod ran into the issue of like it used spherical gravity, which meant that you could like walk around them and then it would like you'd fall like in between 2 blocks because it was just spherical gravity.
Yeah. But I was like, I wanted to like make a mod pack, but I was like, wait, what if I just made like a game and then I could like change the...
Yeah, that sounds awesome, because I want to do that like now. Like it must have been you yesterday that said it in the chat. It was like, oh, I'll make it with gravity, and like I was like, oh yeah, that would be fucking awesome if you had square worlds that like as you walk to the edge of the world, you could like look over the edge of the world, and then if you jumped over the edge of the world, you would just fall and like then like rotate 90 degrees, and then you just walk around on a different...
I was like, I've been messing with this mod that does kind of just basically that, and it's like it feels weird and cool. It's awkward, but it feels cool at the same time.
Well, I just like the idea of it, like because obviously if you made like a fake sphere like they do in Minecraft, you have issues of like how do you do it so that as you walk around it rotates, because it would be really weird if it was rotating like every other block turned you 90 degrees. But I'm going, if you actually made them square worlds, then like actually that would work really well. Is that you basically get to the edge of the world, and when you fall below and have some kind of trigger that's like, oh, you fell off the side of the world, just turn gravity 90 degrees, and now you just walk on the. You could build a pretty big sphere or like a big cube, and then be like, well, actually, you could mine from one side of the cube to the other. It'd be really funny because as you come out of the cube, you'd have to quickly like move over to the side, otherwise you'd fall off because you know what I mean.
The way
Like,
that it was had like a giant cube, like gravitational pull, but like every like there was like planes of like where it would pull you in. Like it's hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it like the visual, but like it's like the almost like a weird like trapezoid shape
I kind of
type
want
thing.
to
I
build
don't
that
know.
now with my current renderer. Is just build like a 8x8 chunk cube that when you walk around and triggers 90-degree gravity turn, so you can like jump off the edge and like walk around the next side.
I don't know why it's so fun. I love Mario Galaxy and I like gravity features in games. I don't know why. It's so fun to just mess with that stuff. I really want a block game that has like planetoid gravity for some reason. So that's what I would do if I did a Minecraft clone.
Well, you're more than welcome to fork this and mess around. This is
Honestly, if I got more, I would, because like I do want to do stuff with Bevy eventually. Um, I also want to do because like I like the mods in my like Archimedes ships.
oh yeah, I
That's
remember that
also
mod. That mod was
like
awesome.
I think would also have like Archimedes ships like features where you can like make ships that like kind of also do that shit where you could like make a structured thing with like a
Wasn't
pilot
that
block.
mod like horrendously unoptimized? Remember it being like if you
Uh,
build a ship too big, it was like that was it. Or if you had more than like one ship in the world, it was like that was it. The world was dead.
they had to like disable the ability to like pick up grass blocks because people would
Oh
accidentally
yeah,
like
you'd bump
pick
into the
up
top of a mountain,
the
then
other.
disable it, and then re-enable it. It just takes up the whole fucking mountain.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Or I think what was the other
I
one? I think didn't they disable like every Enderman block because it would do the same thing where you'd park a ship for too long and an Enderman would place a block between your ship and the ground and it would now be fucking glued, like and take everything. So it's like any block an Enderman could pick up was not allowed to be done anymore.
yeah,
I,
dude,
I love the idea of the fucking Enderman rocking up with a block of sand and gluing your ship in place and being like, "Fuck you." So good.
it was there's like a better implementation of it, I think, called I forgot what it was called. Shoot. Uh, is it like I think they called it like I don't remember, but like it let you place blocks on like you could interact with the blocks on like the like structures that are like turned into ships and stuff, and like you can give them gravity, and I don't know, you can make them physics objects basically. You could basically just turn Minecraft like pieces of blocks into like physics structures, and it was like and you could basically gravity gun them and shit too. It was like in creative
Mm,
mode. It was really cool.
yeah.
I need to remember what the mod is though.
Mm,
Is it,
yeah, there's lots of fucking really awesome mods.
it's Valkyrie. I think it was Valkyrie. Valkyrie in Skies. That's what it was. I know there's also another mod in mod team that's doing a similar premise or like the same premise basically. I think it was but it's like I think they're making a library that's shared between these like two mods as well. That's for like the Minecraft weird block physics things. Uh, because create aeronautics that's like a create add-on that adds this type of stuff specifically like in like they create kind of tech tree um and it's been in development for like years at this point. I'm wondering so and I just like will look in the Discord server sometimes and just like see devlogs because it's like so cool to me. definitely if I made a Minecraft clone, it would be like I would borrow the gravity thing and then the Archimedes ships type concepts.
Yeah, I don't know
And
if
then
I'd
you
want to do
just
that. Like my thing of like with voxels, so like when the voxels stay on the fucking grid. Like what I wanted to do for ages, but I've never really had the technical and or art skills to do it, is make a voxel like 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 a skinning voxel thing. So you can be like, if you modeled an arm out of voxels, you could animate the voxels and it would like keep the like actual correct volume. Whereas like as it moves around, like the blocks will move to keep the bone. So like you know, like they do it so they're fake where it's like, oh yeah, anyway, the line crosses becomes a white square to say it's bone. I'm like, no, but I want it to actually keep the same volume as well, which means that like if you try and compress it, it like suddenly all the bone bits splinter out to the side because like it's going, oh, I've got 100 bone voxels that I have to fit in that space. And I think it'd be really cool to do like ships like that, whereas like as they move around, like technically the ship still has to stay grid aligned. So it's like if the ship's turning, then like the voxels are all jumping around corners and shit. I think the issue is you'd end up with like suddenly holes opening up because there was a mod that I think did that. But yeah, you had holes because when you turned, like a voxel could jump, but the one behind it didn't, which meant now you have a hole in your ship, and then the other jump would follow. Yeah, it's like a weird like because it was trying to crush something that wasn't that didn't fill the space perfectly.
It reminded me of I think 40 Miner. They have like these like voxel like character models, so your player is like made out of voxels, and you can like do your like inner guts and stuff because like, you can kind of phase through people's bodies when you're doing like the 4D shifting. So you can like see people's like bones and whatever they put inside their character, or like whatever they decide to, which is kind of a cool gimmick for that game.
That is a cool gimmick.
I need to buy a 40 Miner. There's like different Minecraft clones I'm going to definitely get into because 40 Miner is definitely there's
It is weird that
also
voxel games have now become Minecraft clones.
yeah, well there's some that are pretty good at being their own thing. Obviously 40 Miners was like the fact that it's 40, but like
Oh yeah, I
there's
remember 40
also
Miner. Yeah, I remember watching videos about that. They were just, like that one. That one is one I would class an actual Minecraft clone, but I'm saying like, same as there was there's a bunch of like voxel games, but they are just Minecraft clones, but with something tacked on top, where like they are just Minecraft, but like a city builder sort of thing. But there's a whole bunch of them where it's like, there was like a mining one where it's like you were dwarfs or something that did that. And it was like, oh, it's a Minecraft clone. It's like, well, but it's not. Like, it's just a game that has voxels and has mining. Doesn't make it Minecraft. Also,
yeah.
I probably shouldn't have my chat open. No, nobody's typing. It's fine.
I'm trying to remember what this other game was called because I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was like a very like brutal survival. What is it? Oh, it was Vintage Story. It was it's
Vintage
I think
Story.
it origins in like a Minecraft mod that added like super realism survival mechanics, and then eventually a developer just like, I'm just gonna make my own game. That's kind of what Vintage Story is. Because you can like do like tool mapping where you like carve like out of this like chip the stone to make the tool head and stuff.
Yeah,
And like
I remember. Yeah, you like actually forge it where you hit it with a hammer until it's flat to make sheets and stuff like that. Its prospecting seems really cool, where you actually like have a thing that tells you like it effectively just reads the heat map and goes, oh yeah, this ore is somewhere around here. Is saying like it's possible that the world generator actually placed a vein. And then you can like go into a thing that's like, oh yeah, within 7 blocks of you is it in fact a vein, and it's like a separate thing that you have to like keep mining around to try and find the fucking veins.
that is really cool. I need to buy Vintage Story. I need to. What's another?
What's the new one? That one that Hypixel or whatever it is.
Oh yeah,
That one is a Minecraft clone. Like, no, it's not like automatically a Minecraft clone.
yeah. They're trying.
That one was like, hey, we run a very profitable Minecraft server, but like Minecraft doesn't implement the shit we want, so we're gonna make our own Minecraft. with blackjack and hookers.
Hell for years too. Like they
Yeah.
got like
I think they realized it's not as easy to make Minecraft as they thought.
what happened was they got bought by I think whatever whatever that company was
Did they?
that
Oh, I don't.
they got bought by a company, and then the company forced them to port the game to Unreal Engine, which was like a
Oh,
stupid
okay. Yeah.
for that specific game, and then like it kind of like died, and then like the Hypixel dude like bought the game and the rights back, and they took the old build that was in Java, and then they just like got that out and rushed out to release it.
Well, yeah, so I think that's what it's like. They were like, "Hey, we're Java developers," and then they got bought. I'm assuming Epic is who bought them. Like, if they're trying to port it to Unreal.
They wanted to be like a cross-platform thing, but it didn't really work for the game because it was like a modding-based game, and
Well, I think it would still work because like they managed to get Hypixel done. I think if I remember correctly, Hypixel you can be on with Java and Bedrock on the same server because they built a interface layer that lets the cross thing, like, you know, the cross versions talk to each other. Like, but like, yeah, the limitation is that like they weren't fucking Unreal developers, so it just kind of killed the game because none of them wanted to work on it anymore. They were going, hey, we want to make this game specifically, and they went, oh no, but like you got to put it in this engine, and then none of them know how to use that, so it's killed the developer's steam, I guess.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate, but I'm glad it's finally out now.
Yeah, I know, and it's weird because I've been like one of the people that like stays completely out of hype cycles and stuff like that. So I had no idea it had gone through such a troubled thing. I remember back in high school someone talking about it, and then I remember it coming out, and I went, oh yeah, cool. Like I had no idea it got cancelled in between. All this other shit happened, like company bought them. It's like, oh wow, like what a fucking thing and a half that was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's another one I've been like watching. I think it finally released because I saw a streamer play it. There's another clone called Lucid Blocks, and it has a really interesting like abstract like crafting system where you kind of just combine things, and you just kind of like test out. Like it's interesting because you can combine anything seemingly.
Oh, like another thing that I had an idea that would be a really cool voxel game would be that if you make every voxel like have you played Teardown or seen Teardown, where like every voxel is actually an object? Yeah, I want that, but like where you actually craft. I think there was a game like a mining game that had it like it was like that Cube World. It was like if you had the pickaxe, you could replace like individual voxels on the pickaxe with like gems to make the pickaxe imbue the power of the gem. And like that would be such a fucking cool concept of if everything like so imagine like a zombie apocalypse game where you go and like raid a building and every single thing in the building is actually made of the materials, and therefore like if you're looking for steel, like you've got to like go smash desks and take the legs because the legs are actually made of steel, and that the models themselves are steel voxels, so you can like actually be like if it looks like steel, it is steel, and you can just go ransack the place and you're like, oh, I wonder if this is inside, and you smash down walls to find like copper cables and shit like that. That'd be such a fucking like cool concept of a game.
Yeah, that would be like like there's like a zombie game I used to play that had like it just kind of had like it wasn't a voxel game, but it had like a style.
Is it 7 Days to Die? Because that is technically a voxel game.
No, it was unturned. Maybe it technically is because of the building system kind of, but no, never mind. I don't think it had a voxel base. I think you could just place things. But it had like the
Unturned had like the Rust style building where you put like a foundation and then you could snap walls onto the foundation.
Yeah, but it has that art style where the QB.
Yeah, it was like low poly. But I think 7 Days to Die is kind of like similar to what I'm thinking, but like it's on a much larger scale where like in the world, like the steel beams, if you hit them with a pickaxe, give you steel, and then they break, but like you can't actually build at that higher fidelity. I don't think. Like I think you can place wooden blocks. Like when you build as a player, you build like a Minecraft style where you place 1 meter at a time. But when you are like out in the world, the things that they place, like the steel girder, is actually like a 3D model that they've actually placed. But if you mine it, you get steel out of it, which is like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But like I want it to be like when you place it, because the idea being that like you could actually build a table in your like base that you could build it like out of steel because you had excess steel, or it's like, or maybe you only build out of wood because you don't have wood. You only have wood. I think it was such a cool thing to be able to like actually fine grain craft stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be dope as hell. What did in Teardown, did they just make their own engine for the purpose of optimization? What did they do?
I believe Teardown is a custom built engine. I don't know how it does what it fucking does, but it's
usually
awesome.
games like that are super physics based, they seem to usually make their own engine for optimization reasons. Another example I can point to is Noida. With everything is like a physics thing. They made their own engine for that.
From what I remember, Noida cheats because not everything in the world is simulated at the same time. It only renders like 2 screens away from the player at any one time, because the idea being that, you don't want to get somewhere and find out that the fucking goblin hit the thing and blew up the entire world while you weren't looking, but also it just killed performance. So they're like, for both gameplay and performance reasons, you don't get to do that.
I wonder how that would work in a 3D context.
You do the same thing. It's just within so many chunks, you just don't render it. So the issue with 3D is that it's hard to cap the player's vision, like the edge of the screen. But that's basically what you would be doing. Is you would just say anything behind the player doesn't actually get simulated. Like one chunk behind them happens, but like nothing further than that. And then you have to come up with some kind of like really aggressive fog or something. You can do it in like a dark cave style approach where like basically the player can't see very far because, within a few seconds the screen's black kind of thing. That would work.
I wonder if a Minecraft clone just like mostly underground would be.
I wanted to do it because again, like I really like voxels, I really like hexagons. They're my 2 go-to things I do game stuff. But I want to do a game where you basically like grapple hook around, but use like Perlin noise and voxels to just generate caves underground. So the entire thing is sort of you trying to get from one place to another by like grappling hooking around. I think that'd be a lot of fun if you just put really fun physics to it, and maybe ragdoll, so that if you hit the ground too fast, your player's legs, like your feet stop, but your body keeps moving, so you just like topple and spiral like a ragdoll.
Ragdolls in games are always pretty funny. I remember the ones in the one I used to play. Sorry, this is a more random example.
But, I always go random. If you watch my streams long enough, you realize that I never stay on topic.
When they remade Star Wars Battlefront, the ragdolls in that game were really funny to me specifically because they did a really good realistic take on them. But sometimes they would glitch the hell out, and then you would just fly into the stratosphere, which is like a common like occurrence in a lot of ragdoll systems.
Yeah, a lot of games have like a unstuck me.
And then to do that.
Like there was a game, Hydroneer or something, where you mine for gold basically, and it's got like a destructible voxely terrain, like the true voxel where it's like it does march in cubes, so it looks smooth, but like when you dig with the shovel, you basically set the voxel to 0, so it gets a pit where it is and all the ground around it updates. But like that has like an unstuck button because it was very common for you, 1, to dig a hole that you couldn't get out of, but also 2, to just be driving around and then have your like car just fly away into the sky and fuck now. So you had to unstuck it back into the, teleport you to the nearest road.
Yeah. I'm hoping. Do you think Bevy would be a good engine to do some of this
I think Bevy would be great in the sense that Bevy is what you call very low level in terms of like, but also really high level. It's fun. That's what's fun. I watched someone that did Portal, like actual portals in Unity, and they went, fuck, it was horrible because to get access to what they needed access to on the shader level, like on the rendering pipeline, they had to basically recompile Unity because Unity just doesn't give you access. Bevy's like, hey, fuck it, if you can get there, we don't care. Like if you want access to the render pipeline, you can do whatever you want. Like I haven't optimized any of my voxel code and it still runs really fast. Theoretically I could optimize it by actually going in and running a custom pipeline because I ran into some issues. Like I was adding a level of detail that the further away you got, the like lower resolution the meshes became. turns out that made the game run slower because Bevy has so many optimizations that it was going, hey, that's different mesh, so I can't batch them together, which made it slower. Like having 2 meshes meant that it couldn't run every single mesh at the same time, which cost me about 5 frames per second. So like theoretically, since I would know that actually the meshes don't matter, I could write my own custom pipeline to batch them together because it doesn't actually matter. They're the same mesh, but one's twice the scale of the other. So theoretically, Bevy can do all that, but it's about like whether you have the skill to write it. Bevy is at that level of being a custom game engine. Like people keep going, oh, can you go into Godot? And I'm like, I don't actually know because I don't know if Godot lets you go down to that level. Theoretically, you could because it's open source. You could just recompile the engine. Whereas Bevy, it's like we're compiling the engine anyway. So yes, you can do anything in Bevy.
That is cool. Yeah. So honestly, if I ever do, I feel like eventually I will do Minecraft stuff.
Yeah, I have plenty of projects if you want to look at like how you can go about it in Bevy. You can really tell that either the mindset I was in or just like the things that I've learned in that. Like for a while there, whenever I did a Minecraft clone, it was like, how do I get the fuck out of the ECS? Because it's really hard to store the data from your chunk in the ECS and also like do your chunk like mesh generation. So my current approach is to say, fuck it, no mesh generation. I store the voxel data in a 3D texture and let the GPU take care of that. So my meshes are literally every single plane that a cube can be on is basically rendered. And then the GPU discards the pixel if it hits an empty voxel. So then it tries to render the one behind it. And it works like really well because Bevy has all this like culling and stuff, so it doesn't even try and render a chunk that is behind you, or it does the frustum culling for you. I did have to tell it to disable invisible. Like if the voxel was entirely empty, it has to be disabled. That chunk has to be disabled. Otherwise, Bevy still tries to render it, and it just spends the entire time discarding. So theoretically, it doesn't actually impact frame rate whether the chunk's empty or not. But it's the idea of we can render 3 times further if 2/3 of all chunks are empty, because it's basically effectively you can render X number of chunks, whatever fits in the render distance of that many chunks.
I'm curious, how did you do do you know about the mod cubic chunks for Minecraft?
Mod cubic?
Where they made it so chunks are not just like the whole sliver of the world, they can also be like vertical. So you can have like chunks loaded in that way.
Technically, Bevy already does. Minecraft already does that for rendering purposes because it would be horrendously stupid to render the chunk top to bottom. So Minecraft effectively relies on the fact that if your render distance is set to anything but like 4, you can already see from the bottom of the world to the top. But it actually renders in 16 by 16 blocks, like squares. So I was watching someone, they made a train in Minecraft and they offset the rendering code that was outside of the train and below the train by 1 chunk. So they offset that and were moving that around because it actually doesn't render the entire chunk. It only renders a 16 by 16 block of a chunk, and then it renders however many stacks of those blocks you need to be able to reach world height and the ground.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I don't know how you go about loading and unloading them specifically, but like it actually only renders them as that.
I wonder if because I think cubic chunks died at some point. I don't know if it's because
that's probably because Minecraft actually implemented the feature that they were doing. Like, there's no point maintaining a mod that does what Minecraft does. It didn't used to do that. That's what I'm saying. It used to be able to, when you stick your head inside a glowstone, you could see all the meshes that it was culling. And when they added this new 16 by 16 block, the way it does it is it's basically meshes a 16 by 16 by 16 square, which means that like when you stuck your head inside a block, you would be able to see the next block over would have a wall again, because technically that block was a separate block. And when they did that, that's when like I think we implemented a lot of this stuff. So it's a while ago, but like within this decade, but not. It's like after 2020.
Are you streaming right now?
Yeah. I figured that's how you worked out that I was in the thing. So, yeah. I think I've been like 10 minutes before my friend comes. So.
Yeah, it's okay. sorry, my roommate came in, so I was like, um, I didn't know if you heard.
I didn't hear anything. No.
Yeah.
I'm rehauling my menu system so that it's easier to add menus. I apparently did not end up getting to do what I was planning to do, probably partly because I was talking to you, which kind of like slowed down the production. But like I did do a very important thing, which was just make it so that I made it so that like when I spawn in like menus, I don't have to like spawn every single component. I just call my menu builder and I call like add checkbox and then give it a name and what it does when you check it, and then it does all the components. Like it knows what it needs to add to make it so the menu despawns when you remove the menu and that kind of thing.
All right, step down in my obsidian vaults. Need to get working on some stuff too. I'm gonna write down some of the. I'm gonna write down the idea for the zombie like clone thing with that voxel based clone because I think that would be a good, really cool game. My friend also had an idea because like we had an idea for a survival game based off of like a Minecraft mod pack that like there's this really good Minecraft mod pack that's like takes place. This is gonna sound silly because it's the back rooms, but it's yeah, but it's actually done pretty well. Where like you like it generates like an infinite like back rooms, and then you start with like a tech system out of like basically getting
Oh yeah, I've
materials.
seen that. Yeah, yeah, and you like punch the wall or whatever it is. To like get carpet, you punch the floor, and to get
Like
yeah, I
my
wish
friend
Captain
was like,
Spark was like that. Yeah.
play this, and he was like, wait, all these backrooms are doing it wrong. Backrooms should be like a survival based game instead of like well, I guess survival not in the case of like you're trying to survive monsters, but you're trying to like survive. Like it should be like the forest, but like the backrooms basically was like the idea. Like someone should make a game like that, and I was
Yeah, it
like,
is.
yeah,
It actually sounds
that'd
pretty
be a
good.
cool idea.
Well, that sounds fun. My menu builder is actually working really well. I've reduced something that was like 200 lines of code down to like 5. So dumb. And it also makes it so much easier because you just say add new checkbox and it does everything for you. You don't have to go like, oh, did I remember to do this? Did I remember to do that?
Do you use Obsidian?
Yes, I do. That my Obsidian Vault where I have my all my like notes for what a component is, and it's like fucking getting out of control because again, I'm using a bit of AI to fucking help me like concentrate my thoughts on like reading it, making sure it's correct, then asking that like, hey, like, can you condense my? I'm giving like scripts my old videos and being like, hey, can you tell me how this relates to everything? And then it's pulling all that information in, and I'm like, oh yeah, so it's ended up with like a dozen files that all point to different places. Some of them are stubs where it's like, oh, an app, and it's like, well, app doesn't have any information because I haven't actually done any research, but it's a lot of fucking information at the moment. But yeah, I use Obsidian to answer your question. Sorry.
Yeah, I love Obsidian. I've been need to put way more stuff in here. I'm gonna try to mess with LDTK. Self designed whip for the my Tyler whatever, I forgot what the term was. The tile editor. There we go. Because I was originally gonna try and use because like someone made like a compatibility for or like an API thing for Bevy, but I'm not gonna use Bevy for now. So I'm just gonna I found something for Love 2D.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna use that. Where's my phone? need to get this tiles. I got like this app on my phone to that can open Asprite files because I have Asprite on this computer, but it kind of sucks to use Asprite with this trackpad. So I just have been using the app on my phone. What was it called? It was called Pick Square. So I could just do the work on the Asprite files on my phone instead with the touchscreen.
Oh yeah, gotta love when you just do stuff on your phone.
Yeah, I set up like a sync thing folder so I can like easily sync assets to the laptop. If you've ever used like sync thing before, it's pretty neat. It's like a local like sync thing where you can just
I
sync over the
haven't looked at the
network.
sync thing, but the being called sync thing, I'm assuming that's by Theo. That does T3 chat and what's the other one? Like, there's like a streaming one as well that's just like something thing, and I'm like, it calls everything thing.
I think sync thing is unrelated, but I am familiar with Theo and that stuff as well. I'm what's the I might try getting T3 chat when I get more into like.
Yeah, it's pretty good because like it's not that expensive just to have it, and it lets you use all the models. I don't like that he changed how the that you get credits now. It used to be that you got your like 15,000 messages or whatever it was for your subscription and your 100 premium. Now you get so much usage every 4 hours and an overflow usage every month. So it's like if you go, I haven't been using my subscription, let me use it all on the last day, you just don't get to, because like you only get one block that you can go over the limit, and then once that's gone, it's gone, and every 4 hours they give you a chunk, which it's a good way to stop people abusing it, but it's also annoying for someone like me that I'm like, I want to save my premium credits until I want to use them, but I can generate like 4 pictures an hour for every 4 hours before I run out of credits, and it means that like I can't just use all my premium stuff to do like, I'll just generate a couple of thumbnails or whatever. It's like, no, I'll be out of credits in like fucking 20 minutes, and then that's it. Like, unless I want to wait 4 hours to work on this again, which is I don't like personally. I preferred it when it was like, this is how much you get in a month, and that's all you get. They also stopped being like you get so many messages, and it's more like, yeah, you get so many tokens, I guess is probably how it works. So the idea being that if it gives a really big response, it uses a hell of a lot more of your usage than if it gives a really small response, which is great for when you're doing like 1 or 2 word messages, but it sucks when it's like you could have one message basically eat your entire thing because it did 4 or 5 tool calls and this and that on an expensive model.
Yeah, seems pretty nice and affordable.
It is, yeah, especially if you're only planning on using it occasionally. It's really good because it has all the new models, so you don't have to keep getting new subscriptions. You can test out different models and stuff like that. I personally think he's a little bit up his own ass with his whole like, but like it's so good UI wise, because it does have some issues, but like it's fine, like for testing things.
Yeah, I remember that video where he was like bragging about the how much the AI is, or not the AI, how much the UI is better than like any other platform.
It is. It's just not perfect, and I despise the fact that he's so much. Like if you want, hire me, OpenAI kind of thing, of being like, yeah, but the number of times I've accidentally used up a whole bunch of premium credits because your fucking copy, like your edit message and your copy message button keep confusing me about which one's going to do which. Would I go, I want to edit this message and try again, and it just accidentally reruns the fucking message, and I'm like, why? Like, I keep accidentally rerunning shit, and I don't think you get your credits back if you stop it early. Like it's just in, it's done. And I'm like, it's so annoying. Yeah. I'm working on my UI. It's good.
I'm trying to get like a simple tile set. I'm trying to make a little prototype. I had this idea for a platformer where you're like a little slime thing, and you have an eyeball, and it's like a precision platformer, so you can have like a center of mass.
Or like
so you have like
you do soft body physics
and the WAS, and like you can. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you do your soft body physics so that like as you move around, like you hit the ground, like the center of mass can flick over the edge and make you roll, kind of thing.
I'm doing a more simplified version where it's just the center of mass is just pulling in the direction that you point.
Okay, so you point. So like you're like a slingshotty kind of thing where you throw your center of mass and it pulls.
physics simulation. I might do it just for like visual stuff, but
Well,
like
that's
the
what I mean. It's
actual,
like you center of mass, when you do that, you kind of need physics, because otherwise it's not really a center of mass. It's just the point that the player is controlling. But like, yeah, you don't have to do actual like physics calculations. You can just be like, when the player points the arrow in that direction, it lobs and it follows a gravity. But like, also, almost always, physics is the easier way. You just actually do physics. If you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm
you know what,
sure
I've
the
been
engine
thinking
will
about
have
it.
some kind of built-in physics, and you can just tie into that, and then you basically just have to work out how you let the player give the impulse and how you let the object determine that it's hit the ground again. I remember I saw one that was like you were a little slime and you were like basically like throwing yourself around, and when you hit walls, it was like soft body physics, so you like would splat onto the wall and then like jiggle around, and then you. I think the idea was like if you threw yourself and like landed just on the edge of a platform, the center of mass went over the platform, off you went over the platform as well. Like the idea was that you were basically like you were a tiny little heavy mass in the center of like a squishy blob, where the blob was basically visuals, but also like a if the ball touched the ground, it would slow down really rapidly. But if it did end up rolling over the edge, it would pull you over the edge, because technically you were just a ball. The slime's body didn't actually do anything. But I think it had stuff like if you slung yourself into a wall, you would stick to the wall and you wouldn't fall down. And so it's more about like it takes a second for your body to stick to the wall, so you can't just like. The idea being that like you get that precision of being like you got to control your momentum, because otherwise you'll end up rolling off things.
Yeah. Get how should I export this? Because like I found this like extension for that just like reads the ASprite files as and like lets you like render them in the game without like having to export to like PNGs or whatever, which is cool. And you can also like have it like read the animations in like a ASprite file, so you can have like all your animations set up in these like loop sections in the file, and then you can have it in the engine. You can just be like, oh, point to that and just render that, which is really cool. So I can just like simplify a lot of the asset process, because I don't have to export a bunch of like sprite sheets or like set up like animations that way. I can just have the original like ASprite file that I was working on that has all like the layers and the like everything set up, which is like dope.
I keep renaming things because I'm like adding checkboxes, and I'm like, oh well, what if you want the checkbox? So by default, checkbox is unchecked, and I'm like, well, what if you want it to start checked? And I'm like, oh, rather, because the way that Bevy handles it is an additional component, which means the types will change. So I'm like, oh, you can just pass in a boolean, and I'll just have two inserts, which I wasn't doing originally, because I was like, oh, I have to have two copies of the code, but now I'm deduplicating everything. I'm like, well, two copies is actually pretty fine with just the unchecked. And they're like, oh, but what if you want to override that? So I keep changing things to like be like, oh yeah, now you can do this and you can do that, and it's all just like the same thing, I guess, is the way like. Whereas you'll see it a lot, actually, a lot of stuff where it's like it just calls a version of itself, like they're calling it without any state, just calls itself with state, with the default state implemented. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, like they don't actually have two functions that do different things. It's like, no, you call this one and it just calls the other one but passes in nothing. So it's just like purely a convenience thing. And so that's what I'm doing. Is like, I went, oh, you can have checked or not. And I'm like, oh, well, actually, sometimes you want to override the component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you say with state and you pass in checked, I'm going to then call with override and pass in the checked override, as opposed to, because like it's a component, it's how you mark that it's checked. And it's like the idea being that like it should be fairly easy to use without necessarily like adding any complexity to the code to maintain, because it's either going to pass in no override or it's going to pass in the checked override.
What this I don't know. I think I'm just gonna leave it as like a spreadsheet, because the level editor is probably gonna want it to be on. say that.
Version. Bool. So then you become. You actually just do this. Instead of that, this.
I'm looking through some of my older notes. I guess I wrote down like you know how like there was this genre that was kind of coined called like friend slop.
I should go. No.
Okay, so basically it's like all the games like Repo. I guess it started with what was that game called again? Shoot. The one where Lethal Company. That was like kind of like this.
Oh, okay, friend swap. Yeah, I got you. Where it's like local co-op, or
Yeah,
cooperative rather than competitive multiplayer. Yeah, gotcha.
Emphasis on like the proximity voice chat and like scary thing. Basically,
I assumed it was more like emphasis on you make the content kind of thing, where it's like the fun is because.
Oh yeah, because it kind of came out of just being for scary stuff and more for like because like
Yeah, it was
like,
about like, oh, this game would be kind of shit, but it's really funny to like give your friends shit because they did this or did that.
Yeah, I had like an idea for because like there's this one game called like Nuclear Nightmare that's kind of within that genre. But it's inspired by like The Thing, where they have like this alien and you're like on like a snow
Yeah,
base.
yeah. Oh, what's that one called? Yeah, I remember that snow one. I forget what that game was called, but that was a lot of fun.
Nuclear Nightmare.
Is it? No, it was something simpler than that, wasn't it?
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Nuclear Nightmare. At least
No,
that's what I
it
wrote
was
down
called
in
like
my notes.
Snow something.
Maybe you're thinking a different game actually.
Possibly, but like maybe this one was just traders.
Oh wait, I think I know what you're talking about. This is this game like was before Lethal Company.
Yeah, no, this game, this was back in the and this might even predate Among Us. This was like secret Hitler level of like, there's a traitor amongst us, we've got to do the tasks.
I know what you're talking about because I remember I used to watch people play this like YouTubers. I remember it was like I just forgot what it was called. But I'm pretty sure it's in my wish list. If I went through my wish list, I'd probably find
I'm scrolling back on the YouTuber that I know played it.
It's Project Winner.
Yeah, Project Winner. Yeah, at the same time I scroll back far enough. I'm like, there it is, Project Winner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back in the Among Us times when it was like all about, you know, the game actually would be kind of shit if it wasn't for the fact that you're playing with other human beings and therefore they didn't need to make good AI.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I love proximity voice chat in games in general, even when it's like not necessarily as much of like necessary. Like I like it in Minecraft too, where like there's Minecraft servers.
Oh yeah. The proximity chat's like a completely different thing though. Like in terms of like what makes the game friend slop is that the game would not be fun without real human beings. Or at least to me, that's what makes the difference. Is that
I wanted to make one that was like kind of inspired by the Nuclear Nightmare. It was like probably like an alien setting, and then I guess I wrote that I wanted there to be like modular weapons, like the glue cannon from Prey.
Oh, like so, like weapons that modify the world as opposed to.
Yeah, and or to help you get out, because like there's like a lot of stuff you can. There's also I remember there was I forgot what it was called. I think it was GTFO. That's get that game. Have you seen that?
GTFO. No. Here's, I don't know the names of a lot of shit. Like, I probably would know it, but like,
I think it's GTFO. If I may be misremembering the name, but in my friend was telling me that in like the beta of the game, they used to have a super modular like weapon system that was really really freaking cool, and then they removed it and simplified like the weapons in the game, which sucked. But I was like, that'd be cool if you could do like a bunch of stuff. And I was like thinking about Prey, I guess, and I wrote that down in my notes. And then I also wrote an alien worm enemy that attaches to players.
like Tarkov's level of like super modular weapon, or like a different type of super.
Yeah, probably Tarkov's level, or just like.
Personally, I think Tarkov goes a little bit too far in the like. I really love it, but it's not an arena shooter level of like super modular, because all it means is I get really pissed off when I lose a really rare module. Like, it would work so much better in like a DayZ style permanent death, like single world, rather than the run in, run around, run out. Like, that level of modularity is just too much for that simplicity of like a how much of the game you can interact with it. Like, I'd want it to be super rare to find some kind of module that you're really hesitant, whereas in like Tarkov, you just put it in your stash and you never touch it. Like, you just never take that thing out because it's so valuable. Like, whereas in like a Minecraft, in a DayZ style, where like, you want one life and you've got, if you stash it somewhere, it might get stolen, and the other option is to carry it around with you forever, and so like eventually you'll lose it, which I think is a much better way of doing that modular system than how Tarkov does it.
I think I need to look into how the beta for GTFO did it, because I feel like they did it in a more simplistic way that was probably better and more digestible, but they also just removed it from the game and it was cut, unfortunately.
Yeah. That could be what happens sometimes.
They can account for every kind of like, mix match. But I really want to do like one of these games where you're probably like maintaining some sort of facility, and then just want to have like alien monsters that have funny gimmicks, like the alien worm thing that attaches to people and you can just shoot it off or something. You have to be precise not to kill the person.
Yeah, so when you said modular weapons and then said the glue gun from Prey, I was thinking much more like that, where it's like the module is not modular like you attach to the weapon, it's modular like the weapon modifies the world in that, like, glue gun leaves the patches of glue so you can't reach certain places without the glue gun. Like, I want to say Overwatch, where the Mei has that like ice wall that is, you can use it to like lift people up to a window that they otherwise wouldn't be able to get to. That kind of thing. I think that would be a really cool like way of doing modular weapons, of being like, this weapon has an ice effect, which means it leaves little like discs of ice on the ground that make people slip over, where you modify the weapon to make it modify the world, rather than like a Tarkov style where like, oh, you put a different scope on it and now it's a different scope, or you put different bullets in it. So it's like different bullets, I guess, is what I'm going for. Like, you put ice bullets in and then let the people like customize the order of the bullets so that like you can fire like an ice bullet and then then the next bullet's a fire bullet, so you can shoot the ground and then shoot the person, then shoot the ground and shoot the person, to make it like slippery patch, but like still have a high damage bullet. Something like that. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think it'd be better to lean into that, because I had both written down, but I didn't know which I wanted to like lean into.
I would definitely lean into the environmental one, because I feel like that would be way more unique of a game mechanic than the modular weapons, because like, what game doesn't let you modify the weapons, and what are you going to change when you modify the weapon? Like, technically do both, in that when you modify the weapon, you do it by attaching or removing something from the model of the weapon, but like, modify the weapon so that it does dumb shit, like Noita and the wands, where like each modification just completely changes how it works, rather than you put a different scope on it so it's slightly more accurate, or it's actually more useful, like the player can physically shoot more easily. I would go for, if you stick this thing on it, now it shoots ice projectiles, like it freezes anything that it hits, or like it sets fire to anything. Like, just make it be like really distinctly feel different to modify the guns.
I'm wondering about the set. Should I have it on a space station just like Prey? I don't know.
You do like, I don't know, because you do like the voxel world that we're talking about, like the actual planet, where it's like you can run around and have different gravity regions, and then so like, I do it in like a COD style, like confined to one construction site, but then like add it like alien world and have a whole bunch of weird effects, like maybe geysers that when you run into them lift you up, and then you could really lean into the elemental side of things, and you take the approach of if you have armor that is resistant to fire, you can use the geysers to get height, but if you don't have a resistance to fire, then you just take damage. So the idea being that like, the mobility of the game is also proportionally selected by how you intend to move around. So the idea being that, like, if you have an ice protection on your armor, you don't slip on ice patches. But if you have an ice protection, you can't have fire protection. So the idea being that, like, you can take one route that might be shorter but covered in ice, or you can take a route that gives you a geyser to give you more height. So the idea being that, like, the players customize their equipment and their gear based on how they want to navigate the map. So that all the different movement, like, you can make all the fire-based movements much more about being like elevation. So they're all about moving fast and high, whereas the ice can be all about moving fast but only vertically. So, like, no, not horizontally. So the ice has a horizontal component and fire has a vertical component, and all your game design is built around maintaining that idea of ice and fire both move differently, and then they also counter each other. So, like, ice bullets counter fire movement and fire bullets counter ice movement. And the idea being that, like, if you shoot an ice movement person with ice, it doesn't do anything to them. So the idea is you have to try and be like, do you want to move down the ice tracks with ice bullets, or do you want to move down the fire tracks with ice bullets? Being that, like, if you go one way, you do extra damage, but it means that you also take extra damage or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you balance around how people want to play, but, like, in a weird, like, instead of modifying just stats of the weapons, you completely modify how the weapon affects things. Like, fire leaves Molotov trails, but if someone's got fire resistance, they just run through the Molotov trail. That kind of idea of, like, and try and do, like, a counter thing of, like, if you take high mobility in the fire region, then you effectively take really high damage from ice related bullets. So anyone going that way will almost certainly have ice bullets, but then have some kind of counter to that, like maybe electricity is really effective against ice armor because of, you know, electricity, water. So the idea being that, like, if you're going the water armor route, you take electricity bullets, but if you're going the fire route, you take ice bullets, and, like, make it like a, you know, like a tic-tac-toe trade-off, paper scissors rock of, like, the different types of mobility. Like, you could do lightning armor makes you move faster, but also doesn't let you use any of the custom mobility, so you just physically move faster. You could do air makes you take less fall damage, and also able to, like, use some kind of up movement, so you can you can go vertically much more quicker, but you also fall much slower, which means that if you happen to be up high and need to get low, it takes much harder, but if you need to get from low to high, it's much easier. So the I guess, yeah, and then you assign each element like an arrow, basically saying, like, air is an arrow up, whereas fire might be an arrow down, and then so each of the movements is proportional to the different, and then you balance it around, like, paper scissors rock. If, like, an up arrow beats it, up and down arrow cancel out. A up and left arrow do something, and up and right arrow. There's like a mechanic to build everything around. As, like, the base thing of each element has a direction.
Yeah, I need to come up with, I guess I should make the aliens, maybe the enemies that might be there, also element based, and have their gimmicks maybe based around some of those things.
Yeah, like, you find the fire ones are always up high because the wind ones are always up high and the water ones are always down low.
Yeah. So you can kind of, it's kind of like, it's almost like to make me think of Pokemon, right? You kind of have like a type system.
I would go with a much tighter system than Pokemon, because Pokemon does the paper scissors rock, and the issue with the paper scissors rock is it has too many types for it. So, like, the idea is that every Pokemon game you start with a fire, water, grass as your 3 starters, because they do the triangle, and there's a bunch of other ones, but then there's, like, fairy, where fairy is like, oh well, it's its own counter, and it's like, oh, dragon is I think the same. Whereas, like, it doesn't actually make sense, and it breaks the whole thing. I would go 4 elements. You have your air, fire, water, earth, and they point in your 4 cardinal directions in terms of, like, for your planning out how everything interacts. And then you can pick in between elements. So, like, when you combine water and fire, they should in theory cancel out directly. So you might need to make them not diametrically opposite, because then you get steam, and steam's like 45 and up. So the idea being that, like, when you balance things, you go fire moves fast, water moves slow, because they're opposites. But I guess it'd be more like fire is up, earth is down, I guess, would be how I would maybe do it. And then air, okay, you have to work out which way you do it. But the idea being that, like, when you combine fire and water, you get steam-based powers, which are about high mobility, but in an up direction. So you go up quicker, you go up, like, you know what I mean? Like, so you balance it around that. And then you could have each of the enemies have the same similar thing, like everything gets an element assigned to it, which gives it a weakness. But it's not just a fire beats water. It's like sometimes the water may beat fire, but only when you're battling it somewhere where the extra mobility that water gets from its mobility is better. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
whereas it's not a 1-to-1 where like paper always beats rock. It's like unless, and then now rock beats paper, like in certain situations, and then the trade-off being like, what do you do? I like the idea of having the different elemental bullets as well, because you could like have like when you're playing at like a higher level, because it's there's a concept called like it's like easy to learn but hard to master, of being like you could have each bullet has an element type, but you can also select the order that those bullets are in your magazine. So like in competitive play, you might have all 4 bullets alternating, so that they literally just shoot the ground because they know like, oh, that bullet will heal them, this bullet will do neutral damage, and this bullet will do extra damage. They're like literally shooting, like they're deliberately missing with the bullets, and they have to keep track in their head. Whereas a normal person might just only load fire bullets because they think the other team's going to go water, that kind of thing. That would be really interesting, because it'd add a lot of depth without really adding any kind of extra mechanical complexity.
The original idea was that it was going to be like there's like aliens and you're kind of just doing tasks, but it's kind of become more of like a PvP thing.
I would go with the COD thing, because I think it lets you like lean way more into like really novel effects. Like I like the idea of maybe you can shoot an ally that has the right armor to boost them. You know what I mean? Like you could make certain bullets, like it heals allies but also heals enemies, so the medic has to be really careful with their shots not to accidentally heal the person that you're fighting. That would also be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's. I think it works better as a PvP thing. Honestly,
You could have PvE elements. Like again, like I would think like you'd want the aliens to be more of a neutral threat, where both sides have to deal with the fact that when the aliens fucking are in a certain area, then nobody can really go there because the aliens are like really powerful, but maybe make them drop like unique weapons that you can't spawn with. You can only pick up in like, again, like a COD style match where it's like there's a sniper rifle that you can only get in game, you can't spawn with it. That would be a really cool idea of being like, the aliens are in this region at the moment, so it's like if you want to try and get their unique element weapons, maybe like they're the only weapons that have 2 elemental effects or something, you have to go fight the aliens, and then but the other team might try and like wait for you to kill it to try and snipe you. So it's like you can battle them and that's how you win, or you can fight the aliens to try and get an advantage for the rest of the match, kind of thing. Could be fun.
That's a really cool idea. Right. I wish I knew how to do 3D stuff, because I have not done any 3D development.
What art style are you gonna go for? Because
I'd probably go for. I'd lean for most if I want to do 3D. I've been thinking about doing just the low poly, like the PS1.
I like low poly. I like the low poly, but like modern low poly, rather than trying to emulate like PS2. Like the game called, there's one where you like do like you evolve animals. It's called it's in my fucking Steam library. Equinox or something.
Just let me look it up.
I'm trying to find it in my Steam. Equinox called. And so it's like, I like that low poly where it's like it's not trying to emulate anything as much as it's just trying to make it like look like the thing with as few polygons as you can.
Yeah, there's different ways to go about this stuff. I think I'll figure out something. I mostly think about like 2D games, so I have not thought too much about the different art styles I would do in 3D. I have to think about some of the.
I'm happy to do the programming if you want to do the design. I like working on that kind of stuff, but I run into the issue of I'm really bad at staying motivated. So if you actually are like, hey, let's make it, I'm like, if you give me what you want it to do, then I can design, and I can try and implement stuff.
Honestly, I'd be down for that. Like, I'm more so an artist.
Yeah, fair enough. Work out quite well then. So I like the idea of maybe doing a voxel world, but with like low poly. Like, so where the characters aren't necessarily actually stuck to the voxel grid, but they do look like Unturned, where it's like everything's sort of boxy, but like the actual terrain is a voxel terrain. Because then I can use this engine that I'm currently working on to let us like quickly knock something together where we run around in the voxel world and like, you know, see how much fun it is to have like different elemental things. Because I like the idea of like if you had like fire effects and you run over like a puddle of water, suddenly it bursts to steam and that lifts you up in the air. So it means that you can only run on the puddles of water and get an uplift when you have the right type of equipment. That would be like such a weird way of like if we can work out how to layer like 6 or 7 different maps on top of each other on that, like the way you could navigate a map completely depends on what armor set you have, and like have the boots have a different effect to the helmet, where some things it's like if you run into them with a fire imbued helmet you go down, whereas if you run over it with fire imbued boots you go up, because it's like the idea being like you get a burst of steam in the direction based on the armor you're wearing.
Is this I haven't been able to write everything down. Is this a VOD, by the way?
Yeah. There will be a VOD in the, if you. It's about 2 hours long at the moment, but
because like I'm kind of excited. It's like I haven't really worked with someone on a game thing before.
I keep trying to work with people and then they disappear on me, so you better not do that.
I'll stick around. I don't like to cut people off.
As I'm saying, if you can try and work it into this voxel like engine thing, at the moment this is going to be like an idle game. It's more because I'm going like I want my voxels to have different scales, and I was like, how do I make a game that can have different scales without it just being I'm making a voxel engine? So I went, an idle game would be good because you can like scale up to go find a forest, but you scale down to like pick up sticks on an individual like inside the forest. The idea is the world's not persistent. The world regenerates whenever you leave and go. And the idea is like if you make too many greenhouse gases, the sea level rises and you may not be able to get somewhere now because it's underwater kind of thing. But I mean, we can use the same engine though for rendering like an arena and doing. I want to do the gravity test at it as well because I like the idea of spawning maybe like a voxel world.
Gravity. I was thought about doing. There was like this one game I forgot. I don't know if this would be good to implement in or not, but like the gravity gunfights where like you're not like anchored to like a thing, like you're actually like in free gravity and you can kind of like angle yourself.
Yeah, like zero gravity fight. Kind of like yeah, I mean that could be fun. That's what I was thinking about. Like if you set it on an alien world, you could have like an area where there's like a gravity like basically a black hole that pulls everything towards it kind of thing. Of the idea, but like maybe like have it have big like glass panels on it that when their panel breaks, suddenly everyone on the map is no longer pulled to the ground; they're pulled towards that thing, and then like have the panels replace themselves like with like an automatic arm, like the animation wise, just like an arm that puts the window back, and then suddenly gravity returns back to normal. Or being like imagine if you could fuck with other people on the map by suddenly breaking one of these windows and like make it have like really high durability, so you can't just like shoot one bullet and suddenly it happens, but like you might like break the glass like within one bullet of breaking and then wait until like your friend gives you to go ahead and break the glass and have everyone float towards it. It'd be such a fucking weird concept, but it'd be so much fun. I like the idea just like of the map constantly changing how you have to navigate the map, but in like a floaty, fluid way of being like maybe one character has like, well, like as again, I want it to be like no classes, but every like you can choose your equipment kind of thing. Like having a grappling hook, so like you can like grapple between things, and then like the gravity changes, and now you're just hanging from your grappling hook because you're no longer going down. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Also, I'm likely to go. I'll stick around for a little bit longer, but I'm likely to go to bed soon because it's getting kind of late in my time zone. But I'll keep in touch. Let me see. My connection is kind of being dog water right now.
Well, I don't know what the fuck's happening with my friend. They decided that they're going to be weird, but I'm probably going to end the stream quite soon. I don't think I'm going to have to change what my title and thumbnail were, simply because of the fact that I didn't actually work on the thing that I was going to work on. I just redid the menus. But it worked. It's really easy to add at least checkboxes to menus now. So that's fun. And I just need to modify it a little bit because you can add like horizontal sections, and then it's its own type that lets you add checkboxes. So I need to make that use the same type, or at least a similar type, so that I don't have to keep re-implementing the code over and over, because at the moment it's just duplicated code for checkboxes, whether it's one or two. Yeah, that seems like a really fun game. So if you can like, I guess, draw up like minimum viable product thing and send it to me on Discord, I'll see if I can implement something just to like give it like a trial run. Harder thing's going to be multiplayer because of the fact that like I don't know how to do multiplayer, but that's about it.
Yeah, networking is probably going to be a nightmare, especially
I don't think multiplayer is going to be too bad because I think there are some crates for Bevy that let you just do like multiplayer. The hardest thing with them is that they're very opinionated in how you should do multiplayer. Whereas I'm going like we could just open a TCP socket and send back and forth the player's position, like like for testing purposes at least. It shouldn't be too hard to set up. My hardest thing that I find is like the server side stuff of actually being able to like let us connect without just being like you give me your IP address and I connect to you sort of thing. But we can work on that when we get there. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call the stream here. So, yeah. All right. I guess you just send me stuff on Discord. We can chat. I'll send you a friend request. Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Maybe I'll see you next time I'm streaming, or we can talk offline as well.
Yeah. See you.
All right. See you. Okay, thank you for tuning into the stream. I will update the title to reflect the fact that we did not actually, in fact, do curves. I was planning on doing curves, but we didn't get there. The idea was the curves will have like a thing that you can have like a checkbox where you spawn in like an image, and then the image would then like be rendered from the curve. But anyway, yeah, just like samples from 0 to 1. All right, but anyway, thank you for tuning in. And I will see